Hello guys, today we are going to look at today we are going to write a multifunctional C program that will compute the intercept and the coefficient of a simple linear equation of the form y equals to a plus bx. So in this program we shall use uh, multiple functions, and we are going to use C programming to build this program. So we can open our environment called Visual Studio Code and then create a new file. So we go to File and create a new file. Then you can Control save and rename it as a C file. So we can call it line and then select the file type as C and then save it where you want. Me, I want it on desktop and then save. So it will show something. Instead of saying untitled, it will show line.c. So what you have to do first is to include a header file that contains the namespaces required by C. That header file is called standard input and output live stdio.h. So we shall use a name that tells the compiler to bring that file. That commands the operating system to bring that file called stdio.h. So this header file contains namespaces like printf, scanf, and others like the return. So they told us to include to use multiple functions. We are going to get the gradient and the intercept over line y equals to mx plus c. So we shall write two functions that compute for the gradient and the intercept over line. So here we are. So those two functions are the first one is going to be computing for the slope or the gradient over line, and we shall need points like x1, x2, y1, y2. So we shall need x1, we shall need x2, we shall need x1 and y1, and we shall need x2 and y2. This is a way this is how we give our function arguments, x2, y2. So we shall need those, and our function will compute for the gradient, and the gradient for this case we shall call it b. You see that we shall call it b. So we give it a data type float because it will have some points. So the gradient will be y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1, and you terminate because this is a statement. So after that, after getting the gradient, because we've written the formula that computes for the gradient or the slope, now what you should do, your function has to return something. in order to use it. So ours is going to return the gradient which we want. Then after, you terminate the function. Then another function is going to compute for the intercept of a line. So for this case, the intercept is also going to be a floating value, and we can call it inter as the function name. And the intercept is going to accept only 3 arguments. It's going to accept one coordinate and a slope. So the intercept is going to accept x and y, xy, and the slope. We can call the slope m. So from there, you open the curly brackets to represent a block of code. Now, the intercept is computed. You see this equation format. You just to get the intercept from this, it will be a equals to y minus bx. So it's what we are going to do. So the intercept called a for this case is equal to y minus b minus bx. Times is an operator. For this case, b is called m. For this case, b was declared as m. Is the argument called m. So as you can see in the picture, instead of writing b, we wrote m in the arguments. Yeah, the letters do not matter. What matters is the format of the function. So we have to return the intercept after you terminate. Then after that, we shall go to the main driver function, and that is the main function is what the compiler reads first instead of the functions, because the compiler understands a main function so much rather than the functions that you've just declared up. So if you don't put a main function here, your code won't run. So the reason as to why we put int at the start is because we expect an integer after the program has run fully. So from that, we can give our program meaning or value. So this program will compute the intercept and gradient of a simple straight line. This is a statement and you have to terminate it. Then after that, we shall prompt the user to enter any 2 coordinates of that line. So on a new line, we shall prompt the user to enter any 2 coordinates of the line. So the line is going to be of the form y equals 2a plus bx, the way they gave it to us. So the line is y equals to a plus bx. So from there, you terminate this and then enter coordinate 1. So the first coordinate, which is coordinate 1, maybe on a new line. So coordinate 1 is going to be, we shall have variables that represent the numbers in the coordinate, like x and y. So we have x1, and they are floating values, they can be floating values. So we have x1 and y1. So we can enter the first one. We can enter x on a new line. You enter x, and scan it from the keyboard. So it's of the data type float and can be stored in the memory location of x1 or the memory address. And also we enter y. We enter y, which can be scanned from the keyboard. The data type is f float and can be stored in the memory location of y1. You terminate. After that, we enter the second coordinate. So the second coordinate, which is coordinate 2, we have to get some other variables like x2 and y2. So we use the same functions to enter them. So it's going to be, we enter x for this one. After declaring x2 and y2, we enter x, then scan it from the keyboard and store it in the memory location of x2. Then we enter y and scan it from the keyboard, store it in the memory location of y2. Yeah, like that. Then after that, after entering all of the required coordinates, like we need only two coordinates too, they enough to calculate for the gradient and intercept. So the gradient, which can be called grad, will be equal. So now we can call our function called slope, will be equal to, now you enter the arguments in this format. You see that it shows you the format float slope into bracket float x1 y1 float y x2 float y2. So now we can write x1 here, y1, x2, y2. So those arguments are enough to calculate for the slope. So you see here we've called our function called slope. The function name here, it was called slope, and after calculating for that, we can also get the intercept. We can call it c and call the function name called inter. See there? So when you open the brackets, it shows you the format. It shows you that you have to put the arguments x, y, and m. Now for this case, x, you can select any of the two coordinates. You can either put x1, y1, or you can either put x2, y2. So let me choose x1, y1, and the m for this case is the grad that you've just calculated. So gradient is there, terminate. So from there you can print your answers. So the answers are, we are going to print according to our question, they wanted A and B. So A equals to percentage, let's put to one decimal place, uh, okay, to 0 decimal place. So percentage f, and on a new line, uh, b equals, remember b in the equation format, b was the slope, so b equals percentage 0.0 decimal place 0.0 f. So other words can go to the new line. So we have to refer to variables. So we refer by using a comma. So a equals to percentage f, we refer to c because c is the intercept and the a represents the intercept. We refer to c. Then b equals to percentage 0.0 f. B, remember b is the slope, so we refer to grad. Yep, and then terminate. So from there you can tell your compiler that, you know what, we have actually stopped, our program is done. So we can save, Control S and run, Control Alt N. So for the first time it may take some time, just have to wait for it. So you see the output is here, it starts from where you see that yellow word. This is a so our program in Visual Studio Code will run in terminal, not the console application you're used to. Most of the programmers are beginners. Now it says that this program will compute the intercept and gradient of a simple straight line. So they want us to enter any two coordinates of the line. Enter any two coordinates of the line, y equals to a plus bx. You get the first coordinate may be 2 and 4. Then the second coordinate may be 6 and 8. So now you see our gradient is 2 and our intercept is 2 and our gradient is 1. So if you want to do some mathematics there to prove it correct, you can. So it is 8 minus 4 over 6 minus 2, which is 4 over 4, which is 1. So the slope is, the intercept is a equals to y minus bx. So a is, use any coordinate, which is 4 minus 2, which is 2. So that's the output, and that's the way you can write a program which computes for the slope and intercept of any simple straight line. Thank you for watching.